I think this clubhouse is starting to complement each other. We're all starting to get on the same page. We're starting to learn each other, know what we do, who swings early, who likes to take, all those little ways to beat a pitcher, Some guys like to go early, some guys like to go late, So I think for the most part, from what I've seen, it's been a good complement in this group.
I know you weren't here last year with the old hitting coaches, but how have your conversations with Donnie and Tim been since you arrived in camp?
They've been great. Getting to kind of know Donnie's it's been good, having him have the trust in you and knowing what you do and what you like to do and him being okay with that, it's been great. And I actually had Timmy in LA, so very aware with Timmy, and me and Timmy have been on the same page since then, so it's been really good so far.
How important is it to you when you talk about the clubhouse kind of starting to come together, guys complimenting each other? You've been with the Dodgers your entire time, and I think that's important for everybody, but for you coming to a new clubhouse and all new guys, how important is that?
It's very important. It's a culture. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of attacking people, and it's an expectation of being good, being successful, being prepared, and going out and doing it. It's a work in progress, and from what I've seen so far, it's been pretty good. We've got a ways to go, and we've got people to learn from myself. But it's been really good.
Last thing on Donnie and Tim for me is, would you describe the way they present the messaging?
Simple. They keep it simple. They take all the numbers, they take all the data, and they try and make it as simple as possible, which I prefer. It's the simpler the better. It's a hard game. Don't try and overcomplicate it.
Have you ever found yourself lost in data?
No, but I've seen people who do it. It's a thing that can kind of take over, and then you're thinking about a number instead of what you're doing. So it's a thing that it's important. You need to know it, but you got to simplify it.
Yeah, I'd say we're getting there. That was a good day for me. I'm happy with the results, obviously, but kind of the work I've been putting in to get to these results is paying off pretty well. Just kind of shortening the swing, staying simple, and really just trusting the approach that our hitting coaches have for us. And I think it's a really good approach for our team. We're gonna be aggressive, and we're gonna do damage, and we're gonna be that team that's relentless.
I wanted to ask you about the guys that are kind of competing for that fifth starter job. So it's Alexi, it's Otto, it's Allard. There's a few guys, and it's only been just feels like everything is so compacted and so fast. How have you, or what have you seen from those guys? I guess over the last week or so.
Well, to be honest with you, that was the first time I caught Glenn today. I haven't caught the other guys yet. I'm trying to get everybody at least a few times before the season starts. I'll be lined up to catch their pins or catch them in the game as the spring training goes on, but I haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay. Is that challenging for you in such a short camp?
Yeah, it's a little unnerving. In an ideal world, we'd have 6 or 7 weeks of spring. We'd get to know everybody really well, and going into game one, we'd be ready to catch anybody at any time. But everybody I caught today, I caught for the first time, and that's how it's going to be for a few games. And that's a challenge I'm ready for. Our advanced staff has done a really good job of getting me up to speed with how we do things, how we like to call games, and the way we want them to give them the best tools to succeed. So that's where we're at right now.
How have you felt behind the plate? Like you just said, you're catching a new guy almost every day. How is that kind of going for you?
It's going fine so far, and that's the great thing about spring is there's not a lot of pressure on you. We're trying to learn each other, trying to get on the same page, and like I said, it's a challenge that I'm welcome to, and that's basically what we're going to have to do to be successful.
We'll start broad. How did you feel about it today?
Felt fine. Good to get the first one out of the way. Got a little rush there. Done some adjustments to the delivery and put in some really good work this offseason. Feel really good about where I'm at overall. Just let the emotions get the best of me out there in the first, and learning experience. Got another week of preparation here to work on it. So looking forward to getting back out there and competing again.
You're locking the battle for a fifth starter position ostensibly. Is that something that you think about, or is that something that is difficult to put out of your mind? Or
Yeah, I'm I'm only human. I'm definitely going to think about that every now and then. There's a lot of great arms in this locker room, a lot of great baseball players in this locker room. So, I'm right where I want to be competing with them. So, it's going to be fun to watch everybody else grow and continue to grow my game and develop my craft. And hopefully at the end of the day I'm there. And if not, we'll continue to work for it.
You talked about some of the adjustments you had made this offseason. It's probably a two-part question. One, what were they? And was it an extra challenge to be doing that without having contact with the pitching coaches?
A little bit. They did a really good job of making sure I was informed prior to the lockout. So, we did everything we needed to do prior to that date. And so I felt like I had a really good foundation going into that lockout and that extended period of time where, it was radio silent. So it was just, some pacing, being more synced up with my body and, more of a posture thing. So really small things in the grand scheme of things. They're really small adjustments. So, looking forward to hammering them home here in spring training before we get going.
Where'd you spend the lockout?
Houston.
Houston?
Yeah, back home.
You worked out there too?
Yes.
I guess, was it different for you? Because
The presence of Seager, Simeon, and Garver obviously will mean something.
Yeah.
And it means that Lowe and Garcia would hopefully be hitting with runners on base more often, because they did not hit with runners on base a ton. Runners on base, probably they get a better selection of pitches to hit.
Yeah, with those guys in front, there's probably a
But-
good chance somebody's on base. Yeah.
But still, 4 and 5 are high pressure situations. You're not concerned after last year about those guys hitting in those roles?
No, listen, I think they may be plugged in there right now, but they have to earn that. So, if Cole Calhoun, looks like he's handling those situations better, easily bump him up. You can move Adolis down against a tough righty. There's a lot of different options. You can put Brad Miller higher, Willie Calhoun higher. Like I said, you can stack it up however you want. But from what I've seen right now, I think both of those guys are going to benefit from just having seen the previous 3 at bats. Just saying, okay, this is what our offense is. And listen, we've had a ton of great dialogue, obviously, heading into camp. What those 2 guys went through last year, having to play every day with not a lot of protection around them. First time playing every day in the big leagues. I expect a lot more out of them, clearly. Adolis had a great first couple months, towards the end had some struggle, but ended up rebounding a little bit at the end. So, I expect them to be pretty good. Adolis has a knack for loving that big moment, so I'm not worried about him. The guys in scoring position, and honestly, Nathaniel was really good as well. He can hit the ball in the ballpark. He doesn't chase. If Nathaniel's up there with runners in scoring position or a bunch of guys on base, he's only going to add to that because he obviously does get on base. And if he's a better hitter this year than he was last year, we're in pretty good shape having that guy in the middle lineup.
So you think those guys will also benefit from watching the 3
Of course.
ahead of them?
Absolutely. Yeah, those guys set the tone kind of, they've done that their whole career, and especially as of recent.
But that's a significant difference too, because you had one guy last year who knew how to take an at bat in Joey, but the other guys were often like,
susceptible to, quality pitching or chase or, we're going to have a pretty stacked, and listen, I feel like we're going to have a very deep lineup based on Willie Calhoun or Brad Miller hitting 7, 8, potentially 9. It's a pretty deep lineup.
And 1-2 is set in stone.
As of now, I like it. Listen, I'm going to look at different options, of course, but I like that. I love the fact that the pitcher comes into the game on full alert. And the second he steps on that rubber, it's, oh boy, here we go. There's no easy, way to just transition into a game. First pitch could be 1-0. It could be a tough at bat, it could be a double. It's just, Simeon's gonna have a heck of a bat. And that's pressure right from the beginning.
We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but now that there are going to be 28 guys on the roster to start the season, what sort of factors do you look at? Is that just like we need more pitching, we're going to put some more pitchers on there? Is this extra bench?
Definitely one more. I'll guarantee you that. We're definitely going to have at least 14. I would say probably more likely to have, yeah, we can get away with 13 position players. We'll be fine. That extra pitching may help us strategically and, just because we're not going to be built up. So I think it's going to help us either way to have more pitching. But we're definitely going to obviously sit and talk about it and figure out what makes the most sense, who we keep and why and how they fit. And like I said, we can have a pretty unique bullpen if that's the case. We have 15 pitchers.
A lot of the guys that are potentially, you talked about not wanting to put a couple of those guys in the bullpen at all. Is there potentially for the start of the season, like, listen, you're still a starter, but for the first couple weeks of the season, maybe we do need AJ Alexi in the bullpen. Maybe we do need just guys that can provide.
I mean, yes, we'll definitely have conversation about it. That's as much as I can say right now. But like I said, it gives us a unique opportunity for the first month of the season to kind of toy around and see who can, like you said, maybe go into more of a 2-3 inning role, ease them in that way. The only thing is, if that's the case, are you going to send them down, after that, or do they earn a spot? I mean, I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. But there's a lot of different options with more roster.
What about a third catcher?
Yeah, I mean, if we feel like if somebody's banged up, I think that's probably where we'd see it. If somebody's not feeling 100%, and if Garver's not 100%, but he can hit, then maybe that adds that potential to happening, I guess.
Oh, but you've talked about him playing first base and DHing. Give you some flexibility to have another catcher on the bench.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're worried about that kind of thing.
I mean, DHing more so. But I expect Nathaniel to be out there pretty often. So I don't know if it's we could have a backup shortstop. I don't plan on playing anybody else out there.
Right.
So yes, I want his bat in the lineup clearly. But if he's banged up a little bit but can only hit, then yeah, then it makes sense to have the third guy. But as of right now, I don't see that happening if everything's healthy.
Last thing on pitching for me, because a couple of days ago, Evan maybe asked about potential of a piggyback starter, and that's really we don't have the roster space to do it. Does that change now?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's a structured piggyback, but we could potentially have a guy that could fit that role. Especially if we want to limit that fifth starter a little bit, maybe more from a strategic standpoint than an actual how capability standpoint. If we only want him to go one time through for a couple starts just to kind of ease him into the role, then maybe it's something we could consider for sure.
With the two extra spots, and particularly if they're pitchers, I think it makes your decisions a little bit easier. They're never easy, but it makes your decisions a little bit easier. But the thing I keep thinking about, especially the way everything would line up, it certainly seems like you would like it if Spencer Howard ends up as your fifth starter. It seems like it would make everybody else fit into more natural roles.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's. Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for all these guys, honestly. I don't know if I'd single one guy out, but I like where Spencer's at, but we also got to do right by him. So yeah, I don't know if it means everybody fits better, if the puzzle pieces fit better. Maybe so. But he's got to earn that. You know what I mean?
Is John King definitely a relief guy this year? Yeah. We're not going
to, especially after having surgery like that, we're not going to toy around with it in the foreseeable future. To be honest with you, he actually likes pitching out of the bullpen. Maybe it's a situation where we build him up to more innings out of the bullpen, but I don't see it as we're going to transition him into being a starter. I don't see that.
But he can give multiple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is he fully good?
He's good. Yeah.
Healthy?
Yeah, he's good to go. Feels great.
Gray is going tomorrow, right?
What's that?
Gray is starting.
I believe so.
How long do you think he would go tomorrow?
Just a couple innings, probably. Yeah, just 2 at most. I don't think anybody's going further than that their first time out.
Right. He seems to have taken on the leadership role, kind of.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, no, he's been great. And I'm not asking him to do that a ton right now. I want him to get fully comfortable with the organization and with the guys and with the pitching coaches. And, he obviously had a lot of things he wanted to kind of improve on from his time in Colorado. And, I want him to get his feet on the ground. But he's been great, honestly. Great attitude. Really good example for the younger guys. Just the way he carries himself, the way he works, the openness to dialogue, and the way he talks about pitching and talks with our coaches. It's been phenomenal.
What kind of example is set when a 10-year veteran, 3-time All-Star drives an hour to Scottsdale to be a backup?
No doubt. I mean, it's. I obviously asked him before that. Like I was very like, hey man, I'm very respectful of the service time, what he's done in the game. He's like, Woody, I don't care. I just want to play. I just want to get out there. I gave him the option to either back up. On the road, it's actually easier to back up because you're getting the ninth inning. The other day, it's tough when you back up at home, especially if we win, which we expect to. You're only playing 8 innings. So sometimes, at bats fall short. So I can never guarantee if you're backing up in the big league game if you're even going to get in a bat. So, I was like, hey, on the road would be great. He goes, Woody, I don't care. I'll go wherever. But he'll take the option sometimes to obviously play in the backfield, which I think he's, probably going to do at some point, just to get some at bats.
You have familiarity with him from your NL days. How different is his swing now compared to when you saw him?
Not much, honestly, not much. I know he's a little bit older, but it looks very similar. If anything, a little bit, better in some ways. He was, when you're younger, you obviously have your abilities a little bit better. You're a little quicker, but I like where he's at. First at bat yesterday, hits a rocket to right. He just, he's willing to. I think the more importantly, to add to your earlier question, 10 years in the big leagues, 3-time All-Star, like all the accolades, he has under his belt. First day here, he was willing to go out for an hour and a half with our hitting coaches and talk through and work through things that he wants to work on. And very open-minded, was doing drills that were a little bit uncomfortable. So for a guy like that to show that to our young, to Leody Taveras and some guys that are kind of working through similar things, that means a lot. It means a lot. It just sets the example. Marcus Semien yesterday misread the card, and was super accountable to it, right to our pitching coach, right to our pitcher, and apologized. Like, I should have been there and I wasn't. Like, it's just they're just different. They're just built different and true champions, honestly.
Can he make your opening day roster? Can he be ready?
I don't know. I mean, I think something honestly has to happen. Somebody either has to go down or 28-man roster, potentially. That could be a big part of it. If it was 26, I'd say probably not. But with 28, we may be able to make it.
So has
like
he
you
already
said,
given you assurances that he would go and do what needs to be done?
Yeah.
He'd be willing to start
He
the
kind of
season, right?
signed knowing that. And then that's what even made it even more kind of remarkable. Like, to just kind of come in and not an ounce of like, hey, I'm all in. Like, I want to get this thing better. I believe in myself. I'm going to work. I'm going to do everything. You play me wherever, whenever. It's different than most guys that, like I said, have his
Well, and it also allows him to just put
background.
the work in now and not have to try and show you everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, I told him, I said, listen, I have eyes and ears everywhere. So if you're in the backfield and you go 2 homers, like, I'm going to know about it. So don't feel the need to impress me, in front of me. Obviously, it's not big league pitching, but at the same time, like, if it shows up, it shows up. And he's going to start a game. I think he's starting tomorrow or the next day. So he's going to get some at-bats.
Third base?
First. Yeah. I definitely want to see it over there. I know he's played there in the past. Probably more suited for first, but I would like to see it a little bit.
So these guys we're talking about, it feels like there's a lot of them that are not on the 40-man roster. I'm trying to go through my brain, like, who is a 60-day IL candidate? Is Shirtnapov still back to 100%? Is he somebody that might end up on 60?
I don't think he ends up on the 60. He should be ready by the end of camp, but he was a little bit banged up. But I think it was like a week or 2.
Okay.
He should be back out there, though.
So there's some hard decisions coming up.
Yeah.
Is Clark ahead of Hernandez?
Yes. Yeah, he's definitely not much, though. Maybe a week or 2 at most. Thanks, John. No, but Leclerc is, he's throwing all his pitches. Jonathan's been letting it go, though. Like, it's coming out pretty hot, mid-90s, upper 90s. He's just got to obviously be able to throw a slider and some of the change-up stuff, but maybe a week or two at most ahead of him.
But Jonathan's on the 60.
Yes. Yeah, and Leclerc is one of those where it's like, if we put him on too early, he may be ready ahead of that. So we don't want to miss, if it's 2 weeks, that's a lot of time that we could potentially have him, that we wouldn't have him otherwise. So that's why we're kind of holding off on that one. But that's why Jonathan, it was like, let's not take any chances here. It's going to be within a week of that at best. Like, let's just make sure.